Guys, today's video is going to uncover why your close friends are holding you back from succeeding or excelling in life. As usual, I'm Edison. This is Darren.
Yo.
For those who are new to this channel, we are the founders of Brawn Lifestyle, and we will not speak on anything that we personally don't have any experience in. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. As a lot of you may or may not know, Darren and I have quite the history when it comes to our friendship together, how we came to become business partners and what we are now. I don't tell a lot of people this story, but for those who do know, and now for those who are watching this at home, I met Darren back in middle school, and when I first met him, I was actually his school bully. I learned that throughout the entirety of my course of bullying him, it was mostly just due to my own insecurities and my own state of just knowing that I'm in a similar situation as him. But rather than facing it and acknowledging it, I rather pick on somebody who's in a similar situation because it somehow made me feel better. But in reality, as you can see now, over time, Darren and I ended up developing a friendship, and that friendship turned into a business partnership. And basically, as of right now, he's the only person that I would consider a solid, good friend.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man.
But the reason I'm talking about that story too is because a lot of people at home watching this here, you may associate yourself with somebody who doesn't have your best interest at hand and is rather envious of something you're trying to pursue. Or most importantly, they're right now in the stages where they're portraying themselves as a kind person, but it's not going to take long before eventually that kind person you know so well becomes an envious person that's going to try and nitpick everything you do and is going to try to ultimately bring you down. Now, what I want to say before I start this segment off is acknowledging the signs of an envious friend is very important because it can save you years of a wasted relationship or years of a wasted friendship, and that's time that you can't ultimately get back, especially if it's consistent in a negative state. People tend to disguise their envy towards you a lot better over time because throughout the beginning of your friendship, most often your friend does not realize that they're envious of you. Over time, they start to actually acknowledge it. And they're like, you know what? I don't like the fact that this person wants to be successful. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. I am envious, but rather than showing that I'm envious, I'm going to try and portray and make it seem as though I'm not. So that's why acknowledging these signs of envy is very, very important. In the beginning stages, it's going to be very noticeable. But later on, as the friendship progresses, it's going to be harder to notice because your friend is going to do a better job at disguising it. So Darren, let me ask you this. How important is it to distinguish that early on in a friendship?
So your friends could always initially start off feeling, happy for you, right? In most cases they are going to be happy for you in the beginning. But as the more time they see that you're constantly progressing and moving forward, then that happiness is going to turn bitter and then envy comes. And it's very important to see it in the beginning. If they're always sitting there praising you, being happy, and you feel like, oh yeah, they're generally happy for me, right? But if you continue to grow and they're staying stagnant, this is where you need to really watch out for that envy. Because as you're going forward and they're staying stagnant, they're doing the same shit they've been doing for the past years while you're changing your life for the better, then that envy is going to start building up more. They're going to be like, yeah, good for you, man. I'm happy for you. And then when they're at home, they're going to be sitting there plotting against you because their life is shit and you're going better. Yeah, it's important to catch it early on so you don't bring them up with you and keep bringing them. And then in their whole head is like, I can't wait to fucking stab them in the back and then get what I want out of it so I can be better.
In the beginning of a friendship, an envious friend will be kind in the beginning and won't hold back any praise. So you'll notice they praise you for your actions. They acknowledge every good deed that you do. As you become closer and the friendship becomes closer, they'll begin to criticize you in unusual ways. So what they'll do is they'll start exploiting all of your flaws. The pattern continues this way. They'll start off by praising you in the beginning. They'll be very kind. And then as the friendship progresses, you'll notice they start to criticize you. They start to point out all of your flaws. They try to make you feel less of yourself. They try to lower your self-esteem so that way they can feel as though they have an edge over you. So that way they can feel like you're under their power. And it's very important to acknowledge these signs because it's repetitive. You'll notice it almost happens in cycles where it's like seasons. It'll happen in the beginning. It'll happen towards the end of the year, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, there'll be a pattern that'll follow this usually. And acknowledging this is key. What they end up realizing is, okay, you have something going for you. I have nothing going for me. I don't want you to feel as though you're doing better than me because that's going to make me feel like shit. So because I'm insecure about myself, I'm going to try to make you feel insecure about yourself. Let me figure out what all of your flaws are. Let me figure out everything that you dislike about yourself and everything that's going on in your life. And then I'm going to hold on to this information. I'm going to use it against you in the future. So that way you can continuously be reminded of your past. That way you can continuously be reminded of your insecurity and your flaws to make you even worse. And they would use this as a tactic to make you leech on to them, because they want you to be bonded to them to the point where you feel like you can't let them go. Otherwise, you'll lose the only true friend that you actually have.
Yeah, and then you need to be able to find these warning signs of envy and if your friend is actually a fake friend. And the reason for this is they're going to stab you in the back. I mean, just look at the Brutus and Caesar, where Caesar is a king and then Brutus is his best friend. And then ends up turning on him and getting all of the parliament to stab him in the back and kill him. I think he got stabbed like 29 times because he was jealous and he was envious of Caesar and wanted his spot. So you need to cut them out. Of course, they're going to sit there and praise you, but they're also going to criticize your every move you make, so to make them feel better as well, because they want to be in the position you're at, but they're not in it.
I'd say it like this. People, whether it's in relationships or friendships, people are typically good actors in the beginning. Mm-hmm. People are very good talkers, and in the beginning stages, they're going to portray this image of what you always wanted. But just like any act, it's very hard to keep up with that image if it's not your true image. So over time, you're going to notice that these actors, they're going to start portraying their true colors. But as soon as they notice themselves showing you their true colors, they're going to try and snap back into their acting mode. And you'll notice this especially in relationships, because in relationships, if you're with somebody who's narcissistic, if you're with somebody who's ultimately toxic, you're going to realize that in the beginning, they're usually a very good actor. But I usually say there's about a 6 months to a year window before you start to actually acknowledge their true colors, because people can't keep up the act for that long. It's almost stressful. It's almost painful, because when you're not living in your true self, you don't feel as comfortable. And when someone is not feeling comfortable within their true selves, they get frustrated, and that frustration will start to portray and it'll shadow over you, and you'll notice it right away. I'm glad you mentioned that though, about that story, because alluding to envy and alluding to a friend of yours that stabs you in the back, and you know, in front of your face, they're the nicest person. Behind your back, they tell everybody about you. They tell everybody everything negative about you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to talk about too. When you do have an envious friend, right, to your face, they're always going to be nice to you and talk to you. Like I had a friend that would always sit there and say nice things about me, and then we'll talk in person. He seems like the greatest person in the world. However, little did I know, whenever I'm not there and he's with another one of my friends, all he does is talk shit about me, and then trying to be in ways like, oh yeah, like this guy, what is he doing? Why is he here? But in person, he's like, yo, bro, like you're so cool. Like what you're doing is great. Yeah, you know, throwing all these fake compliments at me. And in the moment, you know, I'm a generally trusting person. So I was like, oh, this guy, he's pretty cool. But to my other friends, when they're in part, all he's doing is talking shit. So you have to be careful if they're gossiping. You got to figure out, like, you got to get with your other friends and figure out if he's gossiping about you, or if she's gossiping about you, then, you know what I mean? That's a pretty big, clear red flag.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to make it a lot easier for a lot of you at home that want to distinguish this. Because gossip is usually a cover up for envy. So if your friend is constantly gossiping about your best friend or your close friends to you and telling you every negative thing about them, then what makes you think that when they're behind your back, they're not going to gossip about you? Chances are they're envious of your other friendships. So because of the fact that they're envious of your other friendships, they're going to try and diminish it. They're going to try and destruct it any single way that they could. And they're going to try and gain leverage any way that they could as well. So gossip is another key sign of an envious friend. So it's very important to acknowledge this early on, and it's vitally important to acknowledge this throughout other friendships, because this situation that you're talking about, they could have been gossiping behind your backs of one of your friends and telling you every bad thing about yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when they were with you, they could have been gossiping about your friend and telling you, oh, your friend, you know, he thinks he's all that. Oh, your friend, he wants to be the center of attention. Oh, your friend, you know, this, that, and the third. I think exactly. I think we should do this, bro. I don't know, because I don't know if you agree with me, but I don't think he really cares about us. He just wants it to be on him.
Yeah, and that's literally exactly what happened too. Oh, really? So we're a friend group, so he would talk smack about the other person. I'm like, yo, it's not that deep, but whatever. If you feel that way, let's try to accommodate and try to make us all feel, you know, not hurting or whatever. And it just turns out he was just trying to like play the cards against us all and make like I don't even know what like it was just crazy.
Yeah.
He was just jealous of I guess my bond with this other person and how we work together and where we're aiming to be at, where he's at. Like I was saying, like when they're envious of you, they're going around the shit path while you're constantly growing. So they're going to be pissed off that you're growing. He's like,
me, I'm better than them. Why am I like this? And why are they up there succeeding? But I know everything. I know more than them. And yet, why am I here? But they're doing this.
right. So they're very envious. You will get way more support from strangers than from your friends and family.
That's right.
And the reason for this is because those people that you call your friends and family, they came from the same place as you. They came from a shitty neighborhood or they came from poor financial stability. So they're intimidated and they're scared and they feel like shit about themselves because you're growing and you're obtaining success. Meanwhile, they're not doing shit for themselves.
Yeah, and typically this is caused by their own choice to be complacent in a negative environment, in a poor environment. And that's entirely correct, because here's the thing is when you create success for yourself, your family, your entire family is going to expect you to bring them up with you.
Exactly.
And then if they see that you haven't even acknowledged them, they're going to be like, oh, this person's a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Oh, I've always believed in this person. Your friends and family are always going to say that, even if they were envious of you.
Yeah, I get all the time. Like there's some people that I know that were constantly there supporting me, but then there's also those when they see me succeed, they're like, oh yeah, I support you. I always believed in you. But at the time's like, bro, like, you used to talk shit about me. You were never there with me. Why the fuck are you saying you support me? You're phony, right? That happens all the time. Like in high school, like bro, like I maybe had 15 people that actually supported me, but now I get DMs of 30 fucking different people that I had to have to talk to them more than 2 minutes of my life saying, yeah, bro, I always knew you could do it. It's like, who the fuck are you? Weren't you talking shit about me in high school? Like, I don't understand it.
What would you say is a red flag in a friend?
Oh, there's a lot of red flags in a friend.
Yeah. Put some thought into that.
So the only red flag that I can see is if they never actually truly support change and growth within you. So if you're sitting there and you're trying to grow and you're trying to become better, more successful, so you're putting more time into yourself and your business or the gym, and they're always trying to talk shit and enable poor behavior. So if they're like, oh no, why are you doing this? We should go out and be doing this instead. Let's go party. And you're like, no, dude, like I want to cut that out. But they're like, no, bro, let's go party. You used to party with me all the time. That's a red flag. Another red flag too is, let's say I have a friend and I fall into a bad place. So I'm sitting at home. All I'm doing is watching Netflix, playing video games, and not doing anything better. And your friend that allows that behavior, that's a red flag, and you should cut them out. They should be wanting you to get better.
I'm glad you mentioned it. And another key red flag to look for, maybe this person is not envious of you, but this person is definitely not somebody you want around you. And it's the unmotivated and the friends that are not disciplined. And what do I mean by this? And as a friend, as a true friend, you're going to encounter some people that have their own hardships in life. You're going to encounter some people that are overcoming certain things, like maybe addiction, or maybe they struggle to get out of bed. They struggle to find their motive or their motivation for things. And they struggle to find that discipline edge. They struggle to find that motivation. But ultimately, your friendship with them, if you're very, very strongly connected and you guys are close, it's not going to be long before they try and pull you down with them. They're going to be drowning off in the distance. You're going to try and save them. And rather than you being capable of saving them, they're going to panic and bring you down with them. If you are a genuine friend, you'll notice that a lot of times you try and help this person out. You try and help them overcome certain things in their life. You try and help them better their lives, become healthier, become cleaner, overcome addictions. But no matter what you do, no matter how you try and help this person, they continuously go down the same path of just pure self-destruction. And they could care less for your own worries. They could care less for your own advice. They don't care that you're acknowledging their own downfall. Rather, instead, they'll get upset with you for even pointing out those things and even trying to help them. And they feel more comfortable when they're around their friends that actually support these bad habits. And there's going to come a time where you're going to have to cut the strings, where this person, even though you have a lot of love and respect for them and you want them to do well, they're never going to listen to you. They're never going to change their life for the better. They're never going to take your advice, even if it means saving their life in the long run. So there's going to come a point where you're going to have to detach yourself, because If you don't detach yourself, you're going to attach yourself too closely to the point where when they drown, you would drown with them.
It's like you're probably a shitty friend if you're sitting there and you're constantly enabling poor behavior. You're a shitty friend if you're constantly encouraging, if you're coming home from work and to go watch Netflix or play video games all day. You're a shitty friend if you're encouraging smoking weed, doing drugs. You're a shit friend if you're doing everything and anything instead of trying to support your friend from becoming better.
That's right. And, you know, your friends don't only have to be the one that's envious or the ones that are a piece of shit. It could be you too.
Yeah.
So do some self-evaluation. That's something Darren always talks about. Self-evaluation. What the fuck are you doing that's hindering your friend from succeeding? What are you telling your friend? What are your limiting beliefs that you're trying to portray onto your friend so they don't fucking succeed in their life because you're fucking jealous because you're not doing shit. You're sitting at home. You're watching videos on TikTok and Instagram 24/7 and you can't get off your lazy ass and get something done for the fucking day.
We can always sit there and blame the other person, right? You can be like, no, my friend is the envious one. But in reality, like look at yourself, like what Edison said, what I always talk about is self-reflected. Look in the mirror. Are you talking shit about this person behind their back? Most chances you're talking shit about them. If you're sitting there and you think you're growing and you're succeeding and you think that you're going along the right path, but yet you go to your other friends, you talk shit about one of your friends in the friend group, most chances are you're probably envious about something. You could be the envious person, right? Not a lot of people are cut out for success or self-improvement. A lot of people, there's employees and then there's fucking entrepreneurs, CEOs, and I'm my own boss, right? There's two categories of people, and it's not bad if you don't fit into both categories. What is bad, right, after this is choosing to talk down on the other person if they don't fit in your category, right? So you're sitting there and you're talking shit, or maybe you're one of those people. You're sitting there and you're forcing yourself to be someone else. You're putting a mask on. In your head, you're actually having an eternal strife with yourself. And then you go around and you talk shit to other people, trying to make yourself feel better for being in this fake category that you're not in. So maybe you're the shitty friend and you're the constant flow of negativity in other people's lives. Ever wonder why people aren't messaging you or wanting to hang out with you? It's maybe because you're a fucking dog shit person.
Yeah. Look at yourself in the mirror. You know, based off of the reflection in your mirror, you're not living the life you want to live. You're not the fucking person you tell everybody that you are. You don't live half of the fucking life that you tell people you live. And you're not willing to do half of the shit that you tell people you've done. So why the fuck are you going to keep lying to people? Most importantly, why the fuck are you going to keep lying to yourself just to look in the mirror and try and do anything in your ability to avoid your own fucking reflection, because you know your reflection is going to tell you what the fuck your reality is? And then a lot of you are going to get upset by this comment that I'm making here. And you're going to comment negative shit like, oh, you've never struggled before. Oh, you don't know what the fuck I'm going through. Oh, who the fuck is this guy to tell me? Get the fuck out of bed. Fucking make your fucking bed. Do 5 fucking things in the morning that are necessary to get you to at least accomplish a simple fucking task for once. And get your fucking day started. Stop being lazy. Stop sitting on your ass all day, seeing other people succeed and leaving hate comments talking about he doesn't know what the fuck it's like to struggle. Motherfucker, it's one thing to struggle and it's another thing to get out the fucking struggle. If you got out the fucking struggle, you wouldn't be so fucking preoccupied with talking shit about people that want to help others.
I'm not bothered by these comments of people when they're sitting there and they're wallowing in their self-pity, right? So you're sitting there, you're leaving these fucking comments on there like, oh, what do you mean I have to fucking budget? Like, I can barely fucking do this with my life. But in reality, they're not fucking actually looking at it, right? They're like, oh, like $4,000 isn't enough to get by. Well, you can make it fucking work. The only thing is that you're worried about a car payment that you shouldn't be driving. Like a fucking, maybe you have a Mercedes. You're like, it's too expensive. I can't live. You're going out every day. You're fucking partying. You're buying Netflix. You're buying Hulu. You're fucking buying video games. Your house is too fucking expensive. It's called living below your means, dumbass. So when you're sitting there and you think $4,000 is enough to live, it's because you're not living under your fucking means to grow, right? You can't have a fucking mansion and a fucking nice ass car and live paycheck to paycheck and expect to grow from there. No, you need to have a starting point, right? So let's break it down. You go and you live below your means for a second. You don't drive the nicest fucking car. You don't live in the nicest house. But then you have a pool of money that suddenly starts adding up. Let it be $2 or $3. And I know for those poor people out there, 30 cents makes a fucking difference. So if only you're saving 30 cents a fucking day, eventually that 30 cents will lead to 45 cents, 50 cents, $1, And then you'll build that up. And now you have a small little pool of money, right? It's not a lot, but it's a small pool. Guess what? You can now go buy something wholesale and start selling it. You can now invest into some other means to help grow yourself and grow your money. It takes one step at a time. It's not going to be overnight, but you're just looking at it in the wrong way. So you have to sit there and actually break down your finances, break down how you're living. Do you need Netflix? No, you don't need fucking Netflix. Do you need cable? No, you don't need cable. Okay, what about internet? Oh, my phone has a hotspot that comes with my fucking plan. Okay, I have service on my phone. Maybe I can just do hotspot on my computer. I don't need to spend $80 a month on internet. Okay, that's $80 I'm saving. Oh, I don't need fucking Netflix. That's $16 I'm saving. I don't need Hulu. That's $8 I'm saving. I don't need Disney Plus. That's this much money I'm saving. You got to look into it. Instead of buying $50 video games every fucking 2 months, break that down. Guess what? Now you have $100 every 2 months to fucking put in your bank. You got to break it fucking down, bro. Like it makes no sense to me when people complain about it.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And when it comes to friends, what we're kind of trying to get at is you got to understand and do a dissection of your values. Does your values match your friend's values? Do you want to create success, but your friend wants to live the party life? You want to do something big. You want to impact the lives of others, but your friend is more focused on the fame and the wealth. Okay, there goes the different value. They're never going to align with one another. So because they're never going to align, most of your time will be spent bumping heads with one another. And last thing you want is a friendship where you're consistently bumping heads on a day-to-day basis just because your values don't align with their values, because you want to create an impact and that's your form of success, and their form of success is how fucking famous they can get. If your values are not aligned, it's going to be very hard to joint them together and try to form a bond or try to form a friendship based off of that. And if your values are based off of creating success and their values is based off of having fun, smoking weed, doing drugs, fucking getting drunk out of their ass, and then waking up and repeating the same cycle over and over again, you should already know the fucking answer. You should already know where I'm going with this. Cut them off. Cut them off before it gets worse. Pay attention to the jokes that your friends make about you. And the reason I'm saying that is a lot of times, a lot of your friends' jokes are not truly jokes. It's actually how they feel about you. But knowing that they're at risk of losing your friendship, knowing they're at risk of retaliation from you, they're going to be like, oh, I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. I didn't mean that. But in reality, deep down inside, they know just as well as you should fucking know that they meant every single word they just said about you, but they're going to claim it as a joke. So that way it gives them permission to continue saying more shit just so long as they're saying it in a joking manner.
Yeah, and I want to touch up on the values, right? So I need you guys to look at yourself. Are you a materialistic person, or is your friend a materialistic person? Are you idealistic, or is your friend idealistic? This is going to open up your route to see who you should cut off, right? 9 times out of 10, materialistic people are going to treat you like a fucking item, right? If you're not benefiting them, they're going to throw you away. If you're not bringing them joy, they're going to throw you away. Materialistic people are 9 times out of 10 more of a red flag than idealistic, right? Because all they care about is how they look, what type of car they're having, what type of clothes they're wearing. So if you're not making them feel better, they're going to throw you out like trash, right? Because they're materialistic. They see you as a fucking object. They don't see you as a person. Idealistic people, they don't care about the fame. They don't care about the money. They don't care about the cars, right? They care about the value they're bringing. And that's why we always stress about value. It's always about value, right? Value over everything. You value your friends? All right, provide a valuable, meaningful friendship instead of a materialistic friendship where you're just there ego boosting each other, ego stroking. It makes no fucking sense. So if you have someone, and maybe if you are materialistic, do some self-evaluating, find out your core values and principles and change them. Materialistic people are people you need to stay away from.
100%. And there are people that would, like you said, ultimately treat you like an object. If you don't bring them that instant gratification of praise and joy, they're going to cut you off faster than you can even imagine. And it's because they're not getting that self-satisfaction from you that they so strongly desire, because they ultimately can't get it from themselves deep down inside, because deep down inside they ultimately know that they're insecure. They know that their fucking ego is higher than what their standards are. They know that they have done nothing in their life to be worthy of your praise, but they want your praise because they want to know that someone at least approves of them. They want to know that someone at least has high hopes for them, because deep down inside they feel hopeless.
Yeah. If you need a fucking nice watch or a fucking name brand fashion designer fucking clothing and a nice car to make you feel good about yourself, there's something wrong with you internally. You need to sit down and you need to reflect and you need to find that confidence in yourself and happiness within yourself, or you're going to lose hope on everyone that's around you, because you need some object, something, a person, a fucking object to make you feel good about yourself. Is there something wrong with you? You need to do self-reflecting and change your values. Materialistic people always have something wrong with them. They want to feel good and they don't have confidence with themselves. They don't have pride with themselves. They don't love themselves.
And this, by the way, this is not an attack on those people that are looking to create success because of the fact that, or, you know, the people that create success actually and decide it's time for them to buy exotic cars, decide it's time for them to, you know, buy those luxurious accessories for themselves, because at the end of the day, it's a reward for all of the hard work and all of the fucking misery and suffering they went through to get there.
Yeah.
But if you're working a minimum wage job, if you're barely getting by, if you got offended by my video talking about you had $3,000, you can't manage $3,000. What makes you think you can manage $30,000? What makes you think you can manage $300,000, $3 million? Yet you're asking for more money. That's like doing the bare minimum at work and asking for a raise. If you can't handle what you have now, why would you ask for more? You're the person that shouldn't be fucking buying these shits because you can't fucking afford to live under your means. You want to fucking get paid $3,000 a month, blow $3,000 a month, and then say you're deserving for more money. No, motherfucker, you deserve to fucking get a reality check and learn how to fuck to manage your money. And I'm going to keep saying it. I don't give a fuck who gets offended. Control your money. Don't let your money control you. Everybody that's negative about that statement, they have their money controlling them, so they're constantly broke. They're constantly looking for more funds. They're constantly in need for more money because they know that the more money they get, the more shit that they can buy that they actually can't fucking afford otherwise.
Yeah. So there's a big difference between being a materialistic person versus when you fucking get money and you decide to buy a fucking Ferrari.
So if your friend falls into that category of someone who can't control themselves, of someone who lacks discipline, someone who lacks self-control, someone who lacks the ability to reason properly with themselves and their own finances, why are you going to associate yourself with somebody with that type of mindset? That type of mindset is ultimately going to tear you down, and it's going to eventually tear that friendship down if it doesn't bring you down with it. And when it comes down to getting a clear look at yourself to make sure that you're not the bad friend, ask yourself, what preset do you have your emotional shading at? If there's a negative filter over it, then every conversation and experience will be perceived negatively. Understand that our perception of things in life will dictate our course of action. Typically, a negative emotional shading is associated with an overactive limbic system. Figure out why your limbic system is being overactive, because an overactive limbic system is going to cause you to feel depressed. It's going to cause you to feel negative and perceive everything as negative as well. So get a better understanding of what's going on with you cognitively and subconsciously, so you can get a better understanding of how you can perceive things and move forward with things personally, instead of trying to just reframe things and say that you've always been an angry person. You've always been a fucking depressed person. You've always had this issue. You haven't always had this fucking issue. You're just associating yourself with someone who's always had this issue because you don't want to take up the responsibility of changing shit.
Yeah. And then this is like important. Why? You need to look at your friends, you need to look at yourself, because you are your friends. If you're always around shitty people, you're going to be a shitty person. If you're always around envious people, you're going to turn out to be an envious person. And if you want to drive yourself to get better, you want to drive yourself to get out of the neighborhood that you're in, out of the shitty car you're in, you need to do some self-reflecting. You need to surround yourself with people that are trying to do the same thing.
Ask yourself this question: would you rather live with success, or would you rather live with regret? Would you rather live with the success and knowing that you did everything possible to eliminate negativity from your route to this journey to success? Or do you want to live with regret down the line and wish that you never had those friends that you had? Or ask yourself the simple question of, where would I be at today if I made different decisions, if I chose different associations? So before it gets to that fucking point, get real with yourself. Understand what you need to do to create the success that you so strongly desire. Aside from that, Darren, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. I want all of you, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are your friends there to learn from, or are your friends there to grow with?
Ask yourself that. Get real with yourself. Don't sugarcoat the answer to yourself. This is where you're truly going to find out whether or not your friends are there to support you or hinder you. Aside from that, as always, it's a pleasure. If you guys gained anything from this, any value, anything that you could take with you, if you guys now have a better image of who to associate yourself with, we just ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe, send this to a friend or family that you think will be able to benefit from this.